Oh, hey guys. I'm going to tell you a little bit about how to do some more cleanup on your animation. So let's go ahead and open up that flame that we've been working on. If you missed the part where we were working on the flame, go to the previous tutorial and you can see how we got to this point. So I've got this flame here, it's animating up, and I want to fill in the shape because later on I'm going to be using outline mode, which you remember when you tap this it turns into outlines, but I don't want the busyness of two outlines. I just want one outline for the outer shape and not have to worry about this inner outline here. So to do that I need to fill in the fill, but you'll notice that I cannot fill it in. Even though it looks like it's all one shape, there must be a gap somewhere. And this happens all the time in Flash because of the preciseness that you need to fill in your gaps. So you'll see a place like this corner here that looks normal, it looks like there's no gap, but if you get really close in there you can tell that there is indeed a tiny gap. So I need to move that with the selection tool, and then I can paint fill this bigger shape. If you're having trouble finding gaps, I'll show you on this next frame. So, okay, that guy worked. This guy does not work. If you're having trouble finding gaps, a quick way to discover them is to divide your shape in half and see if half of it fills, and if it does, then you'll know it's in this other half. That half worked. And then this half is still not working, this half did, so it must be somewhere over here, and sure enough, it's right there. Now I'm not going to take the time to go through all of these and fill them in. Double click on these and delete them, because I already took the time on layer 3 to fill all the shapes in. So we no longer have any gaps, we just have a nice solid shape. And then if I turn layer 1 into a guide layer, actually I can delete layer 1. Who needs it? Save as, whatever name suits your fancy. And you can hit Control Enter. By the way, when you do Control Enter, what that actually does is it creates this .swf file in the same folder as the Flash file you've been working on, with the same name as the Flash file that you've been working on. It's just a heads up in case you hadn't figured that out already. Okay, so why I like to get this solid shape going is because it's a lot easier to see some motion, and the rest of the tutorial, you know, if you guys are familiar with sort of like the intricacies of tweaking stuff frame by frame, you may want to skip ahead to future tutorials, because for a while now I'm not really going to be talking much about how to make effects or how to like design effects. There'll be some of that in there, but for the most part this is like the technical how to get this from this stage to the cleaned up stage, which is why it's such a long tutorial. It's not long yet, but I would imagine that it will get long. So maybe hit pause, go grab some popcorn, and settle in, because it's going to be a while. We're going to go ahead and do this inner shape here, this yellow shape. We're going to get that going, and we're going to show a couple of methods of cleaning up an animation here. Alright, so we got this going on, and something that I can see now that it's filled in is that there's a wobble up here. As this shape is coming in, oh geez, come on, gotta get on the right frame for that to work, for the keyframe jumper to work. You'll see that this shape, this lump here, get my pressure sensitivity on, this lump here comes out to here and then comes back in. Turn on onion skinning so you can see it better. Goes from here out and back. Well, as we know, as we learned in previous lessons, fire does not contract, it expands. So this shape should be smaller, like so. And then I can make this one smaller. So now that's coming out. We can make that even smaller. like so. And then this shape comes in awkwardly. This was frame 1. Oftentimes this happens with frame 1. You see that the frame before and after are both higher up. And we don't want that. So I'm going to paint in between these guys. Sorry, that is not the frame before and after. I'm a dope. I had 2 frames showing here. Noob. Okay, but you do see that it kind of contracts in and then goes up. I'm just going to fix that here by bringing it up. Okay. Yeah, this is tricky. When you're working with frame 1, the onion skinning doesn't show the last frame. You can use the keyframe jumper tool to jump to the last frame from the first one, as you're seeing me doing right now. But the onion skinning can get a little confusing, as I was just confused. Let me get rid of that guy. So now if I hit Control Enter, it's sliding up much more smoothly. There's no wobble in here. You got to keep an eye out for those wobbles where it comes in and out and in and out from frame to frame. You want it to kind of generally go in one direction. It can swivel around, but you don't want it to jump back and forth just one frame at a time. Okay, so I've got my shapes. I can now edit multiple frames, so I've dragged this dude out over here, and I can edit multiple frames like that. If I hit Control A on my keyboard, it will select the artwork on every frame. And this is really powerful because I can now go up to the color and I can make that a lighter color, because I want a lighter color so that my drawings on a different layer will show up better. So I've got this kind of light blue going on, and I want to create a new layer for cleanup. So I'm going to go here and do a frame every other frame, like my keyframes were before. And then I'm going to come all in, and let's see. I have 2 options. I could either clean this layer up first, or I could rough out this layer. Let's see, how about I finish out this tutorial just roughing out this layer in the middle, and then we'll call that good, and then in the next tutorial we'll do cleanup on everything. So I want to get my color dark. I'm going to do the same kind of thing I did before. You know what? I'll show a different workflow. This will be fun. Let's do the workflow where we don't have to clean it up as much, because we've already got this, and we'll just see. I mean, this is risky business. We're going to uncharted territory here, I'll tell you what. So go ahead and use unlock the layer and use the S tool. That's the stroke fill. This is for stroke. And then you double click on that, hold shift and double click on that, Control X, and if you want to paste in place on a different layer, it's Control Shift V. I think I did that in a previous tutorial and I didn't explain what the hotkey was, so I apologize. Control Shift V pastes in place. It also does that in Photoshop, by the way. Control V just pastes it at the middle of the screen. Okay, so I've got my shape, and then I hide the cleaned up layer and I show the blue one. See where I'm going with this? Alright. So there's where it was on the last frame. I've got onion skinning on. Get that down to there. Cool. So I'm all set. Alright, so where it had that much space before, this top shape is probably dead by now. It's probably gone. Maybe there's a little remnant of it, something like that, right? I'm not going to worry too much about these overshoot lines because I want to kind of move quick, but get the idea. Okay, so this shape is coming over here. Something that Ryan Woodward, one of my mentors, taught me when I was learning effects about fire is it's kind of cool. Like if the outer shape is moving this far, so the outer shape is moving from here to here. It's cool if the little shapes would move from like there to there, like 2 or 3 times faster. So having those little shapes moving quickly on the inside of the silhouette is going to be really nice. So, as I break my own rule I just established. So let's move this guy up clear into here. I don't know, maybe create a new shape here? Sure. Yeah, maybe this hooky shape becomes that guy up there. And then I can bring this hook around as if it's going to connect to that right there, but then it's not. It's going to go like that. So it's got a nice wobble. And then, heck guys, I don't know. Maybe this is going to go like this. Yeah, and then I can like bring that up there. That looks like a fun shape. Yeah, okay, I'll get rid of that. Alright, so we got that shape, and now this round shape should be up here. Alright. Notice that I'm not keeping this distance the same from frame to frame. So, like, there's like a gap here, you know, and then a little gap here, and then a big gap here. You really ought to try for that wherever you can. You don't want like a silhouette. I kind of did it on this first frame. See how that length and that length and that length and that length are all similar? That's kind of getting a little boring. Luckily, you know, I've got some breathing room up here. It's a little longer, but you get the idea. Okay, so yeah. Ooh, what if this sent a piece that way? That became that, yeah. Yeah, that's cool. That's really cool. Okay. So then that comes up with there. Gets really thin. Maybe do something like that. So this circle here becomes this guy up here. There we go. So this circle here has to become something. I'll delete these. Let's make it turn into that. Sure, why not? I'm trying to take mental note of like what all these shapes are turning into because it's a lot to keep track of. Get that away from that edge. It's a little too close for comfort there. All right. And then I keep going on. Alright, so that's breaking apart now nicely. Make this cupping shape into that thing there. Okay, so do something like this maybe. I don't know. Now, I don't like that because this shape is moving down into this shape. So let's not do that. Delete a little section, double click, and delete the whole section. So now that shape is just turning into this. So the bottom of that cup is up into there. And then I can still do this fun thing with this stretching down. Something like, nope, that. Notice that I'm trying to like alternate it. Like, so if it's curved this way on that frame, it's that way on that frame, and then this way on that frame, so that when I in between it, it'll have this nice wobbly wob that wobbles about twice as fast as my bigger flame. And this comes on up here. Alright, so bring this point out, right there. Alright, and then it's time for this to break off. That's a really skinny little neck right there. So just imagine all those shapes moving up into that. Meanwhile, over here, do something like that. Helps too to just keep a nice long flow in your shapes. You know what I'm saying? Keep them shapes flowing. That needs a bump like that. Yeah, that's what that needed. So that then, because remember, it's going to end like that. So then it can come like that. Yeah, that'll work. That'll work. And that shape can maybe turn into that shape. Sure. Just move it up a little bit more. Delete, delete, delete the lower ones. There we go. Now this shape here looks more like it could easily become that shape. Alright. Next step, I'm going to close off the bottoms of all these. I probably should wait until I in between them to do this. Okay, they're in between, or they're closed. So now I'm going to in between. Alright. So I had, oh boy, this is going to be fun. So I had this shape becoming that shape, so it's going to come up here. And scrunch up your face enough, and maybe you can figure it out. That bowl becomes that? Yeah. Yeah, I believe so. Alright, I got the thing going on. So this shape does not become this shape. This is an entirely new one. This is like an easy thing to make. When you're making stuff that's moving quick, it's easy to like think that it's becoming something that it's not. So I want this to rise up into that. And that works. This shape is going to come up into that. That's the sound it makes as it in-betweens. Alright, there we go. And give this little fire a nice send-off. Make sure it's closed so I can paint fill it later, as we saw. So that point is going to turn into that point. Ooh, this guy becomes this guy. So let's see, let's get a little, notice I'm kind of doing like clean-up-y kinds of things as I'm going. Like I'm tweaking lines here and there. It's going to save me time later. I mean, you got to do what works for you. You can also use the paintbrush tool to do all these in-betweens, which is probably easier to get your head around. I don't know, just find what works and do that, like I like to say. And sure, yes, question mark. This becomes that. Oh, that needs to be bigger because this circle here is turning into this guy up here, right? So, you know, I apologize if this tutorial is just like, what the crap is he talking about? It's kind of how I feel when I'm animating. I'm like, what the crap am I doing? I have no idea. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what I'm doing. Most of my life is spent wondering what the heck I'm doing. Is there any meaning, any purpose to this? Alright. So, that could have been worse. This is breaking off too soon. This shape here, it needs like to be connected a little longer. So I'm going to make it connected just a little bit longer. I almost nailed that song, and then I didn't. I'll sing for you in another video. If you want me to sing for you in a video, leave it in the comments. Let's see. If you really, really don't want me to sing for you in a video, definitely mention that in the comments. Alright, sure. Good enough. Here we go with this guy. And yeah, I'm just drawing stuff now. So this ridge here, I don't want it to become that ridge. You see like the difference between them is like super short? No, I want this ridge to turn into like this one up here. So I'm aiming for that guy. Remember what I said about don't turn your brain off during in-betweening? Yeah, still applies. Okay, this down here should turn into this right there. So that's going to put this right about there. And then it's going to come, there you go. And then maybe this guy's last frame is right there. And make sure that's connected. Sometimes it says it's connecting, but it's not. But now it's connected. Okay, so that guy becomes, I guess this guy doesn't move very much. That's fine, they don't all have to move a lot. This is not detached yet. Yeah. And then, oh, well that guy needs to go somewhere. So you see the problem here, this shape here, I don't want it to move down into this shape. So I'm moving it up and I'm bringing a new shape up. I'll just do this. I'll select this and delete, and then tie this into that. There you go. That's a little smoother, right? Yeah. No one's here to answer or contradict, so I'll just assume that you said, yeah, it's better. Let's see. There. Yes. That. This guy's going to come up. Seeing it, feeling it, feel it. So this point here, it's kind of disappearing into this frame. Well, I guess there's a point up here. Let's make it turn into that point. So do this, bring up that ridge there, and then bring that in there, and it'll all work out. You know what? Chances are good it's not going to all work out, but screw it. We're doing it anyway. Here we go, boys and girls. Alright, got that, turn it into that. So bring that down. And then we got this bump here turning into this tip up here. So there's a bump tip, obviously. And there's birds fighting outside over something. Let's see. You know, California is really nice to live in, weather-wise, but the city's kind of noisy. So I apologize for all the ambient noise that may be coming in through my open windows, but I like having that ocean breeze blowing in. It's nice. Let's see. Yeah, that way this guy can turn into that guy, and this guy can turn into this guy. There we go. And then I'll close off the bottoms. Which I can clean up at a later date. Alright. Let's see how I did. Alright, that one works. That one works. That one does not work. Wow, these are all working. I'm nudging and paint filling, by the way. And then I'm paint filling the little bits that fly off. So it looks like the only shape that's not working is this guy. Bottom half works, top half works, that part works, so there's something. I bet it's this. Yep. These two lines are not touching. Can you see this? Crazy, right? That's why I do the check. Now I'm going to show you a trick to delete. You're probably wondering, these are some messy lines. That is true. They are messy. Ooh, I forgot a shape. That would have been bad. They are messy, and there's a quick way to get rid of them. So if I drag over everything, turn off onion skinning, but turn on edit multiple frames, hit Control A, and then I go here to the pencil tool and I say no shape. There we go. And that was here, pencil tool color, no fill. I said no shape, but that was inaccurate. Alright, so that got rid of all of my pencil lines. So now we can test our flame. Alright, so it's a thing. I probably made it too fast at some points. But it's kind of cool. It's like erratic and crazy and energetic. So I'm going to go ahead and keep working on this, and then when we pick up in the next tutorial, you know what? Forget about it. I've shown you how to clean up. The key to good cleanup is don't let it wobble. You know about not letting it wobble. I think we're ready to move on. We're ready to not keep editing this animation. In the next tutorial, you'll see a slightly more cleaned up version of this, but I think you get the basic idea of how it all works. So, yeah, hope you learned something.